Alright, so in this video, I'm going to take you guys through on how to use Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football app. So this is, and there's a lot of tips and tricks I'm going to kind of go through in this video, so hang in there. I'm going to try to make it super simple and super easy, but I'm also going to give you a lot of tips, tricks, lots of things you can do, so watch the whole video. Whether you're new, whether you're an expert, all that, it's not going to matter. You're going to probably learn something new that you didn't know beforehand, right? So this is my main league, and this will be your main league when you're here. This is what you're going to see when you're in the screen here. They do have these advertisements. Don't even worry about that. But I am the Fantasy Football Conqueror, as you can see there. This will kind of come down, and this will kind of give you your matchup each week. Then down here, if you scroll down, you're going to see this is the standings. So these are your current standings, which is your wins, your losses, and your ties. Points for is basically how many points you've scored. Points against is how many points your opponents have scored against you. This is the winning streak that you may or may not be on. Hopefully you are on that. And this is your wager budget. Thank gosh, if you're not in a fab group, you should try to get into one. Wager budgets are so much better than waiver wire. Essentially, you get, oh, snap, sorry, double click that. Sensitive laptop mouse. So basically, the waiver wire budget, basically what happens here is you're given $100 at the beginning of the season. You can use it as you please throughout the season. When it's out, it's out. You don't get any, you can't pick anybody else up, right? Strategically there, I'm not using very much of it unless there's a player that I know for a fact is going to be a monster, right? He's going to just eat. Like, he's on the waivers. Nobody knows about him. And a major running back goes down, right? Your Christian McCaffreys, Saquon Barkley's, your Gurley's, Bells, those guys right there, just bell cow guys. They go down and their backup, let's say, goes in halfway through the game and he goes just ballistic. Ah, sorry guys, sorry for yawning. It's 11:22 p.m. where I am at, so a little tired, but still got to get this done. It's the only time I get free from the kiddos. So, anyways, um, yeah. So if a player like that's going, you'll want to use your waiver buyer. This you could do I could do a whole episode on how to use this and strategies for that, but that's not what this video is about. This will be your rank and this will be your team. And then there's these three little buttons here. There's a schedule, which will basically show you who you're playing each week, right? So week 1, I'm going to play Ryan. And what the hell's going on here? All the way to week 17, which I don't think they've set up the... I don't think the person has set up the schedule yet because you shouldn't be playing all the way to week 17, right? That goes well into the playoffs. So I'll have to mention that to him. Typically, this is not how it looks. Typically, you stop around game, 14, 15, and 16 are your playoffs, right? So you get out of here. I think week 13 is when you actually end. Season ends on week 13, week 14. Usually you have a first round bye, depending on how your league is structured. Week 15 is semifinals, and week 16 is the championship game. You never want to play in the 17th week. It's just they set good players for the playoffs. Nobody gets to play a lot. It's really kind of defeats the purpose of having the best fantasy team. And then ratings and levels. This is a new feature that they have in here. Basically, it talks about what type of player you are, kind of gives people a rating and kind of gives them a skill level, basically. So, as you can see, there's quite a few players in here that are, I mean, they're pretty decent. These guys are kind of new. I think it's like their second year in the league. Me, I've been playing since 2003, so at least on Yahoo's platform, which I think is pretty much the only one I've ever used. I think it was the one I used at the beginning. I've used NFL.com, ESPN.com. I don't really like them very much. I think it's maybe just because I'm comfortable with Yahoo's. Maybe I'm not. as comfortable with the other ones. There used to be a little thing down here, and I'm trying to look for it. I've used it before. Maybe it's on the next screen, and we're going to go to. But you do have an option to make this a dark colored screen, right? So they had night mode is what they called it. They came out with it, I think a year or two ago. I like the white screen here, so I wonder if it's in like the settings. I didn't actually look for that yet because I just happened to think about it as I was scrolling down there. But anywho, this is going to be your main page. This is going to be your start page. This is where you're going to see when you will first go into your league. So what you're then going to do is you're going to click on your name usually. Check out your team, right? So we'll go here. And as you see, I have no team. No team because we haven't drafted yet, right? So my draft will be August 27th. I will have that on the calendar. I thought that was a Sunday. I guess it is not. August 27th. Tuesday, August 27th will be my draft. So I will stream that live. So we will see that. And it kind of gives you an idea, just kind of your profile here. So this is me. I've been playing since 2003. My rating's a 909. I guess I'm a diamond level, whatever that means. I guess the highest you can be. So I'm in the 99th percentile, whatever that even means. Winning percentage is 55%, I guess. If I wanted to round it up and be awesome, at 56%. 411, 325, and 3. I guess I've tied 3 times. This will be our. Oh, I guess we're going to have an IR position. That's new. This will be our structure of the league, and if you want to, this is really cool. So you can check out your own profile. It's kind of cool if you never played on Yahoo. It's not going to give you much information. But what's really cool is you can go into yours right here, right? And so as you can see, this is the diamond status there. I guess I was gold from shoot. I've been gold since 2010, then down to silver, then close to this, boom, boom, then platinum and diamond, right? And let's see here. This is kind of gives you your stats. I'm not really too concerned about any of that kind of stuff, and none of that stuff really matters too much. What really matters is this part, right? The trophies. That's what matters, right? And 2017, I was in this league, but we were on ESPN platform, and I was a champion. And everybody hated ESPN, so we switched over to um, this one, and that's when I became a champion. Well, I guess second place. I wasn't champion. Second place in 2018. As you can see, I have won trophies almost every single year. Let's see, first place, and third place in 2012. Uh, Third place and first place in 2014. 2013 clearly wasn't a good year for me. 2015, actually, I didn't play at all. My first son was born. My only son, but my first child was born, and I promised my wife I would not spend time on fantasy football. I would help her with the kid, and my son was born September 5th, which is the start of the season. So I kept my promise, and I did not play fantasy football that entire season. It was awful. It was great. I had a son. Yeah, it was really cool. But at the same time, it was just watching football games and not being able to cheer for guys and things like that. You kind of get out of the swing of things. So um, this was my work league from last year that I was talking to you guys about. This is the one I went. This is the one I got second place in this year. This past year, I'm gonna take championship though. I've gone to the championship 2 years in a row in that league. Won an ESPN. This looks like it because it's the same company that I work at, but this was actually in my other segment. I was moved in between the year, and both people wanted me to play, so I played on both leagues, and I got second on both leagues. 17 in 2018, I was first place in this one, on ESPN in 2017. So let's see, we scroll on down. Like I said, we got 2016. Let's see, 2000. This is kind of cool stuff that you can see. Now I'm going to show you something cool you can do after this too. These are kind of like my finishes. I usually try to only have 2 to 3 teams because it's a lot harder to manage when you get a lot more teams. As you can see, like sometimes I had like some of these years, look at 2013 when I had Pro Football Pick'em. I'm actually pretty damn good at Pro Football Pick'em. I'm surprised. Like I'll never win the football pools at work or anything like that, I will never get like 15 out of 16 correct. But like I consistently get 10 to 12 every single week. Like so on an average or a total amount right through the whole season, I crush it, dude. I freaking crush it. And so top 6% of football pick'ems, they won't let me click into that, but it's actually pretty cool because look, 2013, 2012, I was top 6%. Let's see, 2014, I was top 3%. In 2014, let's see, 2016. Yeah, I think I stopped picking at. I think I missed a couple weeks picking, so I screwed that one up. That pooched that one there. So then I went top 3%. I made sure I did it every week. Boom, top 3%, crushed it. And obviously, survival football, I eliminated in week freaking 3. I don't even know who I picked there, but that sucked. But anyways, here's what's something really cool you can do, right? So this is your old league. So if you were ever in a league before and you're trying to remember what happened or whatever like that, you can actually click on it. And so in here, you can actually click on this, and this will show you, this was the league last year. This is who we were. I ran as Diggs in a Blanket. What I did, though, is I actually changed my name every single week to a rival name of my opponents, and just to piss them off. And then I ended up getting Diggs on my team, and so I changed my name to Diggs and whatever. So, but as you can see, I came through. I was the number 1 seed. I beat this guy here. I would have beat everybody this week anyway. So 126 to 86, just crushed this guy, division champ, who was the number 4 seed coming in. Then I come in here at the championship game. I threw up some monster points. 140 is a lot. Like in this league, I was full PPR, but yeah, 140 was a lot of points. And I was averaging, I think 150 or so in this league. Like, maybe 130, I was probably averaging 140 every week. That's why I was just crushing people. And then this guy blows up against me, and they won't show you the matchup, unfortunately, to show you his team. But look who he freaking had, man. He has Duke Johnson, didn't do that great. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott. Who knows if he started Roethlisberger? I don't remember. And Michael Thomas. Just the combination of those guys. I don't remember what those guys did in that final week. Oh, actually, here we go. We can see. Click the back button here, and you can actually go to your schedule, right? It's the same way you could do it on the other screen. That was kind of what I was showing you. So, this is the playoffs, and they got a consolidation or consolation prize. Basically, these are the other guys here, which, as you can still see, I would have beat everybody. Except for the guy that I played in the championship. Yeah, he won a fair and square 180 points. That is hard to beat anytime, right? And so as you can see, this is the actual final standings. I ended up getting second place, but I was the number 1 seed, number 1 guy. I was 11-2. I had scored the most points the entire season, 1,777, 1,573 against. I was on a 7-game winning streak. If you go to the schedule here, if you actually look at this, it's actually pretty gnarly how good I did. Probably one of the best seasons I ever had. Unfortunately, I lost this game. Look at my score. 150, 160, 115, 160, 101. I lost this guy 101 to 102. That crushed me because I was on such an awesome winning streak. And then I play against this guy here, 152 points, which is a crap load, and he gets 172 against me. And then that was the last game I lost. This is the guy that beat me in the playoffs. I beat him in the regular season. We both scored less than 100 points. How ridiculous is that? But it's fantasy. Look at this. If you think about it, this is fantasy. Week 8, me and this guy play, and we get 97 to 93. Week 16, we play. I get 100. And what was it? 140. He gets 180. He gets double his points, and I get an extra. What's this? Almost 50 points, 40, 50 points more than what I scored against him the first time I played. So that aspect on a game-to-game basis does make fantasy football lucky. Games are lucky, but overall, this is just skill. This is what you're doing here. You're just murking people each week. 120 points. You can see these are kind of the average scores that people were getting 118, 120. You get one guy here though with a bunch, so we'll see here. Week 2, boom, 160, 150 here, and then that's 150 down here, 160. A few other guys in the 120 area, right? So then we got week 3. I'm at 115. You got another guy blows up here for 170, but most everybody's kind of around that 130 range maybe. Then here we go, 166. I barely beat this guy, 166 to 164. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you don't. Like this guy is the second highest score by 2 points, and literally loses. And that's another reason I really like those fantasy setups that are done where you get 1 point, like you get a point for points and you get a point for standings as well. But anyways, guys, this is kind of things you can go through. It's pretty cool. That just shows the league pick'em. So each week you get to pick who you think you're gonna win, who you think's gonna win. I never do it, so as you can see, it was 0 for me. So while we're on this setting, I want to show you guys so you don't get discouraged if you get a later round draft pick, right? If you're new to this, or no matter where, if you're first couple times out, if you have a good draft strategy, which I talk about draft strategy all the time, I'm always trying to help you guys out with that. If you pay attention, look at the draft results. Boom. All right. If we go by, let me just go by round, right? If we look down here, we'll see where I'm at. I'm drafting. I had the 11th pick in a 14-team league. 14-team league. Okay, 11th pick. You want to see who I drafted when? This was by team now. So easy breezy will go down to me. So I had the 11th pick. Here we go. 11th pick, I took Melvin Gordon, right? Then I come back and grab Devonta Freeman. On the way back, I go running back again. Typically, I go 3 running backs in a row. Super important because, look, Devonta Freeman and LaShawn McCoy sucked. Yeah, they did. But if they would have done great, no big deal. I would have had 3 great running backs on my team with my flex. I went and grabbed Josh Gordon. That also sucked. So I kind of lost my 2nd through 4th picks. But you never know, right? You never know what's going to happen. But then Marshawn Lynch came on. He was doing great. And then he got hurt. Alshon, Randall Cobb. Then I get Julian Edelman way back here. Now, I had Julian Edelman later in the draft because he had the 4-game performance-enhancing drug thing, but I knew he was going to be wide receiver 1 as soon as he got there. But what really did help me out, guys, is look at this. Look, I take my quarterback at the end. 11th round of a 14-team league, I get Pat Mahomes. Guy freaking lights the world on fire. Then I get Jared Cook, who's crushing it for a tight end. And I always end with the defense and a kicker. And a lot of the times, this is something a lot of people don't look at, though. But if you run through and in those first couple weeks, what you really want to do, the first couple weeks you're in there, you want to look at the kickers that are scoring a lot of points and you want to grab them. I mean, teams, offenses that are scoring a lot of points, kickers that are scoring a lot of points. You want to start swapping your kicker out, swapping your defenses out. I mean, because these things are quick, they're fluid, they're very much changing. But then all of a sudden, there gets to be a point around like week 4, 5, and 6 when they're really starting to become consistent. And so it's really what you want to look at, right? So I just draft anybody. I didn't care. This just happened to be the guy from Oakland. I was like, whatever, I'll just get somebody. And I grabbed Arizona's defense, right? It's probably just whatever one was next in ranking or something like that. It's completely irrelevant. It's not how you end the roster, right? So my final roster was what? Connor Fairbairn and Chicago's defense, right? I mean, that's not too bad because I think Chicago's defense ended up being like the number 1 defense. Um, Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. This is not the, damn it, that's not the right screen I wanted to show you guys. That was going to show you guys something really cool. But anyways, so the other thing that's super interesting that you guys will find very interesting, actually, which I found very interesting, when you look at if you go back and watch the video back from the beginning, and you were kind of looking at the rankings there, the standings, you'll notice these were the top 3 teams. These were the people that finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the league. It was me first, Well, I guess technically Gil's greatest was first, that bastard. Whatever. But Gil's greatest was first. I was second. And Rip Van Gallup was third. Right? So these three guys, and look, pick 11, 12, and 13 in a 14-team league. So there is no disadvantage where you pick. I mean, if anything, you almost get disadvantaged up here, especially if these guys don't perform. Like easy breezy, this guy took Lev Bell, dude. He's screwed. Lev Bell's out, right? I mean, but these other guys paid off. I mean, maybe not David Johnson. But I mean, I certainly Zeke at 6 paid off. This didn't do great for him. I was really, really, really hoping I was going to get Barkley because I know this guy's a KC fan. So I was really hoping that if Barkley would have slipped, ooh, it would have been so nice. But didn't happen. It is what it is, guys. You never predict that stuff. So that being said, let's go back to Yahoo, and we're gonna go back out of this. Let's see here. All right, so this is really stupid now that I can't show you guys like where my team is, so I can't really give you guys that info. But what you can do up here is you have your league. It'll kind of tell you, who's on people put on the trading block. Yeah, I don't really use this too much. I don't know if anybody really does, anyways. Tell you your rosters, transactions. I'll go more into this, guys, when when the league starts, so you guys will be able to see this stuff being actually used. You get to message boards. You can go to the message board. You can type a message, post a new topic. You just go in there and say something like, let's say, only 20 days left. And then I come down here and I'll message. That's kind of like the title. And I go, only 20 days left until the start of my third championship run begins. And see, this is just starting to talk shit. And that's what you do. You just talk shit, man. I mean, if you're not a big shit talker, you don't have to. But I talk shit a lot because it gets in people's heads. Then everybody wants to beat you. And honestly, it's a lot of fun for me because nobody does. Occasionally somebody will beat me. And they'll rub it in my face too. They will remind me and let me know that they beat me. But a lot of the times it doesn't happen, right? I crush people. So then got your team and all these things will become more effective and better once the actual thing starts. But let's say we go over our draft, right? Um, you can actually do your pre-draft rankings here. So if you're getting ready to draft, you can edit my pre-draft rankings. Come down here and you can say, oh, Pat Mahomes, he's obviously number 1, and then Aaron Rodgers is obviously number 2, and we know that's not true. We know Aaron Rodgers is the best. But that being said, you can sort it by, rank. You can sort it by positions. It's like, obviously, this would be where you'd want to start, and you'd want to start, something like that. But I never mess with these because I'm always at my draft, and I always have my separate rankings, which shout out to the fantasy footballers. Their rankings are freaking awesome. Y'all saw me go from silver to platinum or whatever like that. Now, it's not just the fantasy footballers. It's the dedication of listening to other pretty much everybody. You have to listen to everything that's going on. You have to pay attention. You have to make good decisions. You have to make decisions for yourself. You have to assess your level of risk. There's a lot of things that go into fantasy football. And I like thinking of it kind of like a math equation or like or just something that like it's honestly in a way it's almost right like running a business. I mean, you're really managing these teams, and there's a lot of decisions you're trying to make to win, right? You're just trying to win. That's all that matters. I mean, I do these leagues that I'm in right now are between my buddies and I that I work with, and they're paid. But if we go back to all my other leagues before then, they were all free. It was just me and my buddies, and it's free, and we were all super competitive, and I'd destroy them like every year. It was hilarious. But I will say though, I was destroying them because they weren't committed during the season. It had nothing to do with my Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh man, it had nothing to do with my um, drafting because I was drafting like shit. I was not doing good drafts. So what I would recommend um, is definitely watch. I'm gonna stream how I do my draft. I'm gonna show you exactly live, real time, a real draft, so you guys can see that. And so just don't forget to subscribe, like the video, do your thing, just so you guys can check that out and make sure that you're following along, so you can at least see how a live draft goes. I mean, if anything, worst case scenario, you watch the live draft that I throw up there and it just shows you where the rankings are and where people are going. So I mean, if anything, it's like it's a as legit as you can come to a legit mock draft. Basically, you're watching it actually go down live. So stay tuned. That's going to be August 27th. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Get it out there, guys. You know what to do. But anyways, I don't ever use this. It's up to you. You guys could use this. I have my own draft notes on paper on the side, and I'm going to run through those too while we're doing the draft, so I will let you guys know that as well. But you can come in here, you can do like a mock draft. They've got mock drafts in here. You can up until the time of the draft or the season starts, but you can say, oh, I'm in a 12-team league and blah blah blah, and get it. It'll put you in there, right? So I'm going to leave the draft just because I don't want to jump into live mock draft right now. So let's go. Let's go back. All right, so here we are. And let's see, we got the research. These are really good too, especially once players start popping in here. They'll tell you kind of who's hot, and it'll kind of give you a layout like this, right? It'll kind of tell you how many fantasy points they've been earning, what their stats are. This is really a great place to start looking for players, right? And let's see here. MVPs, fantasy points against, consensus ranks. I mean, there's a lot of things that are in here that this is a lot of good information. But it's kind of stupid right now because, of course, there's nothing going on. But let's go here. Go to the player list. Right. This is something super effective. This is kind of something I do on a daily, pretty daily basis. Because you're always looking to better your team, right? So if you come down here, I'd kind of go to these are all things like that. Um, so you go all available players. You can sit there and say, hey, I'm looking. Let's say I'm looking for a quarterback, and um, they have a lot of options, like the way that things happen, right? So let's say you've got your quarterback's on a bye in 2 weeks, right? So week 3, let's say, unlikely and improbable. But basically, let's say who do they think is going to be projected to score the most fantasy points in week 3? Okay, it's obviously going to be Pat Mahomes every time that we do any stat like this. But in this instance, Pat Mahomes. Let's say he was available. What's somebody you're going to be wanting to think about come week 3? Because you're going to be wanting to say, okay, week 3, Pat Mahomes, Kansas City. It's Sunday at 1 p.m. He's playing Baltimore, so he's not under the lights, and he's versus Baltimore. I'm sorry, so he's actually going to be at home. So it's a home game for him. Whereas if it had the app button, it would be telling you they're playing at somebody else's place, right? So you can see this is his average fantasy points, projected fantasy points, 33.62, how much owned he is, and then this is basically his passing, and all these are kind of his stats, right? And this is super good information. This is just really, really good information. This is kind of where you're looking at, and you're sitting there going, okay, yeah, I mean, this is he's playing them. So then you can click on the little notes button, right? Um, so here is this info, and this is the cool thing. This was something I was going to tell everybody. I'm not sure if y'all know this or not, but this is basically going to be the stats, right? These are going to be his stats for the remaining weeks. And so you guys can kind of see what's going on with him. But then if you go over here, week 1 versus Jacksonville gave the 7th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks last season. So that kind of tells you how good the Jacksonville defense is. But then if you click more, right, what will happen is they'll take you over here and it'll basically, this is, oh shoot, yeah, and it's giving you last year's stats. This is phenomenal. This is what I was hoping to be able to show you guys. This is the fantasy points against. So if you take the Jacksonville Jaguars, you come down here and you look who they played against. It'll tell you the player that they played against, like Eli, Tom Brady, Mariota, Pat Mahomes, everything. And these are the fantasy points those guys, that the quarterbacks actually put up against them. So you can see that, they really put up a crap load of points. These are kind of the averages. So you can kind of get a gauge for what's going on in the last time either your guy played him, what's going on with that team. So let's say the wide receivers, and it's let's say all NFL teams. Let's say it's the Jacksonville Jaguars again here, right? So in week 1, it even tells you everybody they played against. They played against Odell and Sterling Shepard. Odell got 25 points, Sterling got 9, right? Hogan and Philip Dorsett, you got 19 and 9. Now, the interesting thing though is what I like to use this for is, let's say you've got a stud, like let's say you got Beckham or something like that. In all likelihood, you're never not starting Beckham. But what's interesting is if you've got a guy that is maybe a mediocre guy, but he's the number 1 on the team. And then you come over here and you find some team that's got like, who's like freaking a stud now? I think what's the Vikings guy? I can't remember his damn name if off the top of my head. Let's see. Crap. Basically, when we're talking shutdown corners, right? KLM. Let's see, Vikings. So what you can see here is, like, a lot of the times when you get these shutdown corners, the number 1 receiver gets taken down. And look at these points, man. I mean, look at these things. Week 1, they played San Fran, 18 total points to receivers. Week 2, Devontae Adams, Geronimo Allison, Randall Cobb, 30, what's that, 40 points? Then you have another one down here, Benjamin, Andre Holmes, boom, 5 and 5. Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, 40 and then 28. But what I was trying to tell you guys is basically a lot of the times what you'll find is if you got these shutdown corners, that number 1 wide receiver will have a shit week. But you'll see, like, in this screen here, you would have seen, like, let's say Geronimo Allison would have 30 points. Devontae Adams would have 5. And then you'd come down here and you'd say, okay, who's the number 1? Here, who even knows? I don't know at this place, but let's say you get these 3. Okay, this was just a ridiculous game. I mean, I remember that game. It was freaking insane. But let's say you come down here and what's another number 1? Okay, let's just say here. Let's just for instance say Julian Edelman. Let's say Edelman was the number 1. Most likely he usually is. But basically, if they had a shutdown corner on him, and the corner was targeting the number 1 wide receiver each week, then you would have something like this. You would see a pattern of, oh man, Edelman, boom, 9. Edelman, I mean, everybody that goes against, whoever the heck the corner is, that's, Revis Island, Richard Sherman, these guys those guys are shutdowns, and you're going to look at that and go, shit, he's taking out the number 1. Who's the number 1 now? Is my guy the number 1? Listen, the number 1's not going to stop Julio Jones forever, right? Julio Jones is Julio Jones, and you're going to start Julio Jones no matter what. But if you're looking at somebody like the number 1, like maybe a Kenny Galladay, who's coming in, he's kind of newer. He's not a full blown number 1 that you can rely on, like Antonio Brown and Julio and Michael Thomas and all these guys that have been there forever. And you see, hey, look, the number 1 is shut down every time. You look at that as maybe there's another option there. Maybe you've got another option that's maybe Kenny Galladay's doing, good. He's great. He's your number 1 because he's doing so well, but he's coming up against a tough matchup. And maybe you've got, I don't know, Sammy Watkins or something like that. I mean, I don't know if I would ever do that, but, you've got Sammy Watkins. And look at this Kenny Galladay. Look at that. Just who I was talking about. But Kenny Galladay scored 11 points. All right. So, and that's on 15 targets. Look at that. 15 targets. You got 6 of them. So as you can see, I mean, a lot of the times, this number 1, like look, Edelman, 8 targets, only 3 receptions. I mean, you've got these guys that have had to be targeted a bunch of times. Devontae Adams, 12 and 8. I guess, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is pretty accurate. So, But if you look at these guys, 5, 6, 2 receptions each, I mean, those types of things are super important when you're kind of running through this stuff. And you can look at 2000, you can look at running backs, same thing. Oh, when the Vikings played running backs, they didn't do too well against running backs, right? So running backs did good, but you go to another team that maybe has a better defense, maybe a better running defense, and that was a terrible example because the Browns, and who knows if they even have a defense now. I'm trying to think of maybe it's the Rams defense. I don't remember who had the best defense last year. That's actually pretty bad. Not too great, right? So these are the types of things you can look at, and these are the types of hints. I'll let you guys know about certain things. There's stat corrections. Those things suck if they're super close, and if you got a close game, you're watching the stat corrections. Because there are times when people, put the wrong stats down. But I'm going to end this video. I'm going to leave it at this, guys. I will give you a better run through when the season actually starts and you can see everything. I'll probably do it before the season starts, but after my draft. That way you can really see what's going on. Because I went through this thinking I was going to give you an idea or help you guys out beforehand, and it doesn't seem as though they're giving that much stuff. But hopefully I was still able to give you some value, give you some tips and tricks in here of what you guys can look at, and what the player is that you're trying to see, what he's going against. If you like to give me like, subscribe, share at the bottom down there. If you didn't like it, leave a comment. Tell me what I could improve on, I guess. And let me know that way. But otherwise, guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully it helps get you guys to your championship game. I'm going to be going through every day, letting you guys know I'm going to do stuff just like this. Show you my team. Show you the trades I'm going out, and you'll see my message board. You'll see what I'm saying, what kind of trash I'm talking. Boom, as we can see, only 20 days left. And I will message that guy on the league. He needs to change the weeks out there. We are not playing 17 weeks. That is absurd. And that being said, guys, I'm going to go. I appreciate it. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for stopping in. Hope you guys are liking the videos. Hope you guys are following me. And I will talk to y'all later.